And so you've never been given any explanation as to why they haven't done this research?
They didn't feel like it.
Have any academics reached out to you after the podcast?
Not that I know of.
How not? So what do you think is going on?
I have no idea.
Scientists made a mind-blowing discovery that defies everything we thought we knew. A living fossil, believed to have been extinct for millions of years, has been found alive and well. This astonishing find is both baffling and exciting, turning the world of science upside down. So buckle up, because today we're diving into the incredible story of ancient creatures that simply shouldn't exist. Let's get started. Coelacanths. In 1938, Marjorie Courtenay-Latimer, some museum boss in East London, South Africa, got a buzz from a local fisherman yakking about catching a weird fish. This wasn't just any odd fish, it was a coelacanth, thought to be dead as a dodo for 70 million years. This pale blue, 5-foot-long throwback with fins like freaky limbs showed up near the Chalumna River, and Marjorie couldn't even peg what it was. She roped in Professor J.L.B. Smith, some big-shot ichthyologist who was off on holiday, chilling without a care. But he nearly lost his marbles when he got wind of it on January 3rd, 1939, through Marjorie's letter and doodles. By February 16th, when he finally met this living fossil face-to-face, he was all over it, naming the fish Latimeria chalumnae after Marjorie and the river spot. This blast from the past flipped the entire science scene on its head, giving boffins a peek at lobe-finned fish that were supposed to be long gone with the dinosaurs. Komodo dragon. The Komodo dragon, officially the heavyweight champ of lizards, has been lurking around since dinosaurs roamed. These big guys aren't just random. They're the real MVPs of evolution, hanging tough through shifts that wiped out lesser creatures. These dragons didn't just pop up out of nowhere in Indonesia. Nope, their saga started in Australia, with fossils dating back a cool 900,000 years. And they've got a notorious ancestor, the Megalania, another monstrous lizard from down under. Scientists like Scott Hocknull from the Queensland Museum have been piecing this puzzle together, uncovering bones both in Indonesia and Australia. What's wild? These modern-day dragons are pretty much doppelgangers of their ancient selves. They once shared their digs with other big-time players like pygmy elephants, ruling the islands like ancient kings. It's not just about size with these lizards. Their staying power is truly legendary, proving they're more than just living fossils, but survivors of the ages. Nautilus. The Nautilus is like the OG of the ocean, rocking that spiral shell. Look for a whopping 500 million years. This bad boy of the sea, a distant cousin to squids and octopuses, popped up back during the Cambrian period and hasn't changed much since. It's seen dinosaurs come and go and survived mass extinctions that wiped out loads of other species. Enter Peter Ward, the real-deal researcher who's been all over these creatures for ages. He's been setting traps underwater from the Philippines to Fiji and Australia, catching these living fossils to study them. Over the years, though, he's seen their numbers drop, thanks mostly to overfishing and folks hunting them for their shells, hoping to snag some pearls. Then there's the science squad, like Vanderpass and their crew, digging into the Nautilus's genes. They found that while these ancient mariners have tweaked a bit on the molecular level, their overall vibe hasn't shifted much after millions of years. Now, as cool as they are, Nautiluses are facing new school problems thanks to human antics pushing them towards the edge. It's high time for some serious conservation moves to keep this link to Earth's ancient past swimming along. Bowfin. The bowfin, Amia calva, known as a living fossil, has scientists totally hooked because it's like a blast from the past, back when dinosaurs were bossing the Earth around. These bad boys have been swimming around for a whopping 150 million years and still rock the same old-school features as their ancient ancestors. Now check this. Research at Michigan State University blew the lid off the myth that these fossils are stuck in time. Turns out, bowfins have a slick genetic trick up their fins that lets them develop their paired fins differently from most fish. This quirky twist is shaking up our understanding of how air-breathing organs evolved, bridging the gap from fish gas bladders right up to human lungs. Bowfins aren't merely science celebs, they're swamp survivors too. These guys can gulp air and hang out in low oxygen spots like swamps, where other fish gasp for air. And while some folks mistake them for invasive pests like the northern snakehead, bowfins are pure Americana, native to the Midwest and southeastern US, doing their bit to keep ecosystems in check. The purple frog. The purple frog, or should we say, the pig-nosed throwback from the age of the dinosaurs, is something right out of a time machine. This oddball has been kicking around since the days of Gondwana. That's a staggering 120 million years. Scientists S.D. Bijou and Frankie Bossuit officially blew the lid off this living fossil in 2003, even though the folks in Kerala, India, have known about this subterranean celebrity for ages. Here's the kicker. This frog is a master of hide and seek. It spends most of its life underground, only popping up for a few days each monsoon season to get busy and breed. Its lineage traces back to frogs from the Seychelles, revealing a family reunion millions of years in the making. Thanks, continental drift. Now, the purple frog isn't just some regular amphibian, it's built like a tank, with a shovel-like snout to burrow through dirt like a pro. Even its tadpoles are bizarre, sporting sucker-like mouths to hang onto rocks in rushing streams. But here's the twist. Despite surviving epochs, this ancient critter is now dancing on the edge of extinction. Its home in the biodiversity hotspot of the Western Ghats is under threat, squashed by habitat loss and farming pressures. Conservationists are on a mission, though, fighting to keep this rare gem from vanishing. Imagine losing a living piece of prehistory. Mantis shrimp. The mantis shrimp isn't just your average ocean critter, it's a legit living fossil. These marine bad boys have been kicking it around for a whopping 340 million years, dating way back to the Carboniferous period. These crustaceans haven't changed much over the eons, which pretty much turns them into rock stars for scientists digging into evolutionary freeze frames. The earliest fossils, like the one from our pal Archaeocharis graphami, show that these creatures have been rocking the same body plan without much fuss for ages. Now, let's talk hardware. These guys are equipped with some wicked appendages that come in two flavors: smashers and spearers. The smashers pack a mean punch with club-like limbs to crack open the tough shells of their prey, while the spearers skewer the softer, squishier sea snacks with their spiky parts. Digging into the fossil records shows that even the ancient mantis shrimps were not messing around. They had all the right tools to dominate their turf. Fast forward to today, and they're famous for having one of the most sophisticated visual systems and some of the quickest moves in the sea, zapping their prey with the speed of a bullet. Surviving multiple mass extinctions with barely a change, these critters are the definition of tough. Tuataras. The tuatara, Sphenodon punctatus, isn't just some ordinary reptile lounging around New Zealand. It's a bona fide living fossil. This critter belongs to the order Cephalia, which kicked off around 240 million years ago during the Triassic period, while its dinosaur cousins bit the dust by the end of the Mesozoic era. This tough guy hung on virtually unchanged. Now, don't get it twisted. The tuatara might look like it's been frozen in time, but under the hood, it's been busy evolving at the molecular level. Scientists are all over this phenomenon, trying to figure out how it's pulled off this ancient yet adaptable stunt, especially through events like that asteroid smackdown that wiped out the dinosaurs. What's even cooler is that the tuatara splits the difference between lizards and snakes, but still rocks its own unique reptile category. That's why conservation buffs are going all out to shield it from modern dampeners like habitat loss and invasive species. They're making sure this old-timer doesn't just survive, but thrives, keeping its legendary status alive in its native digs. Sturgeons. Sturgeons are the badass relics from the dino era, cruising around for a whopping 200 million years without a care. These ancient swimmers haven't bothered to change much since the late Triassic, sporting a look that screams prehistoric. With their armored bodies and that vacuum mouth perfect for hoovering up snacks, they're like living fossils straight out of a sci-fi flick. But life isn't all smooth swimming for these old-timers. They've got a real struggle on their fins, with threats like overfishing, habitat destruction, and pollution. Despite living up to a century and taking their sweet time to reproduce, these sturgeons are getting hammered by humans after their fancy eggs, aka caviar. Seriously, they can't catch a break. Conservationists are on a mission though. Places like the Rioni River in Georgia and the San Francisco estuary are turning into sturgeon-saving hotspots. Horseshoe crab.
You might call them nature's real-life blue bloods. Horseshoe crabs, ungainly creatures.
Horseshoe crabs have been kicking around since before dinosaurs, showing up about 480 million years ago. These tough old-timers are closer cousins to spiders and scorpions than actual crabs, and they've barely changed since the Ordovician period. Talk about sticking to the classics. Now get this, there's this 310 million-year-old horseshoe crab fossil from Illinois that's so well preserved it's got its brain and other squishy bits still intact. Dr. Greg Edgecombe checked it out. Guess what? The brain setup is pretty much the same as today's horseshoe crabs. Finding soft tissues like that is a rare win because they usually just rot away. These living fossils have dodged not one, but multiple mass extinctions, thanks to their if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach to survival. While they look the same on the outside, don't be fooled. Their genes still mix things up on the inside. Fast forward to now, and we've got just 4 species of these ancient mariners left, and they're in hot water because of us. People are after their blue blood for science stuff, which is cool and all, but now we've got to step up the conservation game to keep these old-school survivors in the game. The goblin shark. The goblin shark, or Mitsukurina ostoni, is a legit throwback from the dinosaur age, rocking the ocean scene for about 125 million years. Discovered back in 1898 near Japan, this deep-sea oddity is the last of the Mohicans from the Mitsukurinidae family, a line of sharks that's been around since T-Rex was doing his thing. This shark isn't just another fish in the sea. It's got a look that's straight out of a sci-fi flick, with a weirdly elongated snout and jaws that shoot out like something from a horror movie. Talk about primitive vibes. Scientists are all over the goblin shark, trying to figure out how it's barely changed after millions of years and still thrives deep in the ocean, way beyond where most humans would dare to go. It's got some slick adaptations for snagging deep-sea snacks, making it a master of its creepy, dark domain. The Wollemi pine. The Wollemi pine, Wollemia nobilis, is the ultimate survivor from a time capsule, a tree that hasn't changed a bit in millions of years. Everyone thought this bad boy was long gone, extinct for about 2 million years. But bam! In 1994, David Noble, a park ranger on an adventure in a remote canyon in Australia's Wollemi National Park, stumbled upon this living fossil. This blew the minds of everyone in the botanical world because this tree is a throwback to the Cretaceous period, over 90 million years ago. Now, fewer than 60 of these ancient giants are left in the wild, making them critically endangered. Digging into its DNA, scientists found that despite its old-school roots, the Wollemi pine has super low genetic diversity, thanks to a genetic bottleneck from ages ago. This makes the tree extra vulnerable to today's environmental shifts and diseases. To keep this Jurassic wonder around, there are major moves to grow it in botanical gardens and to crack its genetic code. Brachiopods. Oh, you mean those tough old-timers that have been kicking around the ocean floor since the dawn of time, over 550 million years to be exact. These critters might look like your average clams with their hinged shells, but don't be fooled. They're a whole different ballgame on the inside. These marine invertebrates first popped up during the Cambrian period, way back when Earth was the Wild West of the seas. They were all the rage during the Paleozoic era, covering the ocean from 541 to 252 million years ago, and man, they were everywhere. But here's where it gets wild. These living fossils brushed off mass extinctions like dandruff. Yep, even that beast of a wipeout, the Permian-Triassic extinction around 252 million years ago, took out a hefty chunk of marine life. Fast forward to today, and brachiopods are still hanging in there, though they're way less flashy, sticking to quiet, low-predation spots. Scientists are all over these guys, digging into both the fossils and the few brave souls still swimming to piece together the story of ancient oceans, and just how these hard shells have rolled with Earth's punches for so long. Those shells, they're not just for looks. They're a goldmine for decoding the past climate stories etched in their calcium carbonate. Striped pan ray. Check out this living fossil, the striped pan ray, Xanobatus schonleinii. This guy's a real throwback, rocking the same look since the Jurassic period about 188 million years ago. First spotted by the eagle eyes of scientists Miller and Henley way back in 1841, this odd fish hasn't bothered to change much, living it up in the warm coastal vibes of the eastern Atlantic. From Morocco all the way down to Angola, the striped pan ray is chilling in shallow waters, not deeper than 15 meters. This small timer measures up at a cozy 40 to 50 centimeters, just big enough to sneak around and munch on benthic invertebrates. What's wild is that this creature pops out live young instead of laying eggs, sticking to its ancient ways. But hold up, despite cruising through millennia, this species is now on the ropes, listed as vulnerable because its home turf is getting trashed and overfished. Amami rabbit. The amami rabbit, a real-life relic from the past, rocks its old school on the Japanese islands of Amami Oshima and Tokunoshima. Dubbed a living fossil, this rabbit hasn't changed its look for millions of years. That's right, while we evolved, this bunny clung to its Ice Age vibes with features like stumpy legs, teeny ears, and goth-like dark fur. We're talking vintage from 30,000 to 18,000 years ago. Despite surviving the ages, these furry time capsules are on the edge, thanks to habitat wrecking, mongoose invasions, and too much human meddling. It's a tough gig when your home shrinks and predators lurk around every corner. Back in 1921, Japan stepped up, tagging the amami rabbit as a special natural monument. That's some solid legal armor, but let's be real, it's a jungle out there, and habitat loss is still the big bad in this drama. Conservationists are hustling hard, trying to keep these ancient bunnies and their unique island digs from becoming just another forgotten tale. Cycads. You won't believe this, but those funky-looking plants that seem ripped straight out of a dinosaur flick, the cycads, yeah, they're not only old school, they're practically living fossils. I mean, these bad boys have been kicking it since the Carboniferous period. That's over 300 million years ago. You might think these plants, which totally look like palm trees, but aren't, have just been chilling unchanged since the dinosaurs roamed. Wrong. Some brainy folks over at UC Berkeley cracked the case wide open, revealing that today's cycads only started doing their own thing about 12 million years ago, way after the dinos said their goodbyes. So yeah, while they're old lineage-wise, these modern cycads are like the new kids on the block. Despite them being around for ages, our current cycads are facing a tough time. Thanks to habitat loss and some shady illegal trade moves, they're sliding into the endangered zone. We need to step up our game and protect these links to Earth's prehistoric drama if we want to keep their story going. Crinoids. Can you believe these sea lilies, or crinoids as the eggheads call them, have been kicking it in the ocean for about 485 million years? Yeah, these ancient critters date back to the mid-Cambrian period, and let me tell you, they've seen it all from the Paleozoic to the Mesozoic eras. Now, some smarty pants in Crawfordsville, Indiana, stumbled upon these well-preserved crinoid fossils, which are around 350 million years old. These fossils give us a sneak peek into a world where crinoids were the rock stars of the sea, diverse and abundant, with their plant-like get-ups stemming down to the seafloor and flaunting feathery arms for catching dinner. Despite their old-school origin, crinoids aren't just relics. Some still thrive in today's oceans, though they're not as flashy or plentiful as they used to be. Researchers have been digging into how these living fossils managed to stick around for nearly 500 million years. They had some clever tricks, like tearing, spreading out in the water column to dodge the competition back in the day. Gars. These prehistoric-looking gars are like the time travelers of the fish world, rocking the same elongated bodies and wicked sharp teeth for over 150 million years. They first popped up during the Jurassic period, and it's like they hit pause on the evolutionary remote. They're practically swimming fossils. Research shows these bad boys have the slowest molecular evolution game among all jawed vertebrates. Why mess with perfection, right? Their DNA repair skills are top-notch, blocking those pesky mutations that usually push evolution forward. This superpower lets gars keep it real, maintaining their ancient vibes while thriving across North America. And get this, 2 gar species can whip up viable hybrids even after going their separate ways over 100 million years ago. That's like family reunions on steroids. This not only puts gars in the living fossil VIP lounge, but also gives scientists some juicy insights into how some creatures just don't bother with change, sticking it out through Earth's major makeovers. Lampreys. These creepy eel-like creatures called lampreys are basically dinosaurs among us. They've been slinking around for a whopping 360 million years without much of an update. These jawless wonders are like something straight out of sci-fi horror, sticking to other fish with their sucker mouths and feeding like ancient vampires. Fossils, especially those cool finds like the Priscomyzon rhiniensis in South Africa, show these guys haven't changed much since their Devonian heyday. That's over 360 million years of just chilling and keeping it real, while everything else evolved or went extinct. Michael Coates from the University of Chicago and Bruce Rubidge from the University of Witwatersrand dropped the news that lampreys have been mooching off others way longer than we thought, adding a whole 35 million years to their resume. Today, around 50 species worldwide are still living out their ancient lifestyles in rivers and seas, looking pretty much the same as their fossil ancestors. It's wild to think these living fossils are still around, schooling us on survival and evolution without changing their game one bit. The bristlecone pine. The bristlecone pine, especially the badass Great Basin bristlecone pine, Pinus longeva, is like the Chuck Norris of trees. These gnarly old-timers have been hanging tough for over 5,000 years, making them the oldest solo warriors on Earth, not just cloning their way through the ages like some plants do. Found chilling in the sky-high playgrounds of California, Nevada, and Utah, these trees have been bossing it through ice ages and heat waves, thanks to their mad survival skills and rock-hard tolerance for brutal climates and crummy soil. Back in the 50s, this brainiac named Edmund Schulman from the Laboratory of Tree Ring Research started geeking out over these trees. He figured out you could snoop into past climates by studying their rings, like reading nature's own history book. Some of these wooden ancients were already old, when humans were just figuring out how to build stuff like Stonehenge and the pyramids. There's this famous tree, Methuselah, who's been around for a whopping 4,800 years. Then there was Prometheus, who was cut down in 1964 but showed he was over 4,900 years old. Talk about a senior moment. These trees are legit living fossils, giving scientists the dirt on Earth's past climates and all the drama over thousands of years. Ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is like the OG of trees, having rocked the same look for over 200 million years. This bad boy first popped up in the Jurassic period's fossil record, standing as the last warrior of a plant group that used to rule the green scene. Despite mass extinctions that knocked out the dinosaurs and loads of others, this leafy legend has stuck around, linking us straight to Earth's ancient days. Ginkgo biloba's tail as a living fossil isn't just about sticking it out through the ages. It's about how it barely changed a leaf. Researchers have dug up fossilized ginkgo leaves that are pretty much twins with today's versions. And in 2016, when scientists cracked open its genetic diary, they found a massive and complex code, proving this tree is no pushover when it comes to survival. Rediscovered by Western science in the late 17th century, thanks to the German botanist Engelbert Kempfer, this tree isn't just a blast from the past. It's a survivor, thriving in today's city jungles, where other trees tap out. Ginkgo biloba isn't just living history, it's a hardcore survivor, giving us a window into the plant world's fight through time. What do you think about this incredible discovery? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video fascinating, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing discoveries, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.